Hey guys, my name is Groove Draven, and this is a series I like to call Thinking Out Loud. Now, last week we talked about continuity. This week I'd like to focus on a specific thing I may have mentioned in the continuity video. Hang on a second. And it's my favorite comic book property of all time, to the point where I spent real money on the shit-stained DVD, Blu-ray plus DVD combo when I found it in Walmart, and that is Green Lantern. I love Green Lantern. The mythos is amazing. It's a fantastic all-around series. I love what it's done. They've taken science and they've taken magic and they've said that they're one and the same, and they managed to build a property, rebuild it twice, 2 decades in a row, and right on time. It's actually a year late. They're doing it again right now, and I don't know that I appreciate it, but we'll get to that. First, let's talk about the two leading Green Lanterns of the modern era. I mean, we could talk about the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott, but I mean, let's just face it, everyone knows Alan Scott was awesome. It's just how it is. Alan Scott is the elder statesman. He was the leader of the Justice Society at one point. He came back and was old, and then he became young again, and he became kind of old again, but then he became kind of young again. It's a weird thing. And then they rebooted his character for the Earth 2 line, and now he's at one with the green. He's basically like super-powered magical Swamp Thing of Earth 2. Or is that New Earth 2 now? I don't know. But we're not talking about him. No. We're talking about the two leading Green Lanterns of the 5 Earth Lanterns. And those guys are Hal Jordan and Kyle Rayner. Now, Hal Jordan held the post from 1959, I believe, all the way until 1994. Sure, there were other people, like Guy Gardner had a run on the book in the early 90s as Earth's Green Lantern, while Hal was off in space recruiting more Corps members. John Stewart had a run on the book for a while. All of that is all well and good, but Hal was the first. And in 1994, following during the rebirth of Superman angle, which is a clusterfuck, by the way, and has now since, I believe, been eradicated from time. Mostly. Parts of it are still there, but not all of it. In the wake of that, Mongul destroyed Coast City under the authority of the Cyborg Superman. Cyborg Superman is Hank Henshaw. He was a test pilot. Flew in space, his body disintegrated, he downloaded himself into a computer, rebuilt himself a body with Kryptonian nanotech that looks like Superman but is half robot. That's all you need to know. He's also batshit crazy. But so, the Guardian, Coast City was destroyed. Hal decided to use the ring to make himself a new Coast City, and the Guardians said, how about fuck no? And we're going to strip him of his ring. And apparently that caused him to completely fucking snap. Now, there are some problems with the way I feel that they handled Hal's departure from the book. Because his departure from the book came in issue 50. Or no, I'm sorry. Well, if it officially came in issue 50, but it started in issue 48 when Ron Mars took over writing duties. And that was when Emerald Twilight began. It was a 3-part set. And I have a problem with it mostly because in issue 47, he ended the issue by talking to Oliver Queen and basically making his peace with the destruction of the city. And, he found out that Carol Ferris and Tom Kalmaku were not dead. And, all of that. It seemed like he had actually put a cap on it, and they knew that he was leaving the book. Like, that's a thing that they knew. Because when Ron Mars was brought on, they basically said, well, let's give him a new look. let's give Green Lantern a new feel, and that meant a new guy, and that's fine. Just the way they handled his departure, he was completely fine, and then the next issue, he's a complete fucking rage monster who decides to fly to Oa and kill all the Guardians and all the Green Lanterns because he's mad. Because they won't let him use his power like a whiny little bitch. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, but I really hated how they did that. Anyway, so Kyle was brought on, and Kyle was a 20-something artist living in LA, and he got the power ring, and he was kind of a irresponsible dickhead about it at first, because he was a 20-something-year-old dude living in LA. I'm not saying anything bad about LA, he was a 20-something-year-old dude living in the 1990s. Where he lived has nothing to do with it. Except for that he lived in LA and not Coast City. That was the thing I did like about the Ron Mars years, were that he didn't go to places like, I mean he did, but he didn't spend most of his time in places like Coast City or Metropolis or Gotham City or Bloodhaven or Keystone City or Central City. There's a list of them. He spent most of his career in New York City. The first part was in LA. That was it. Like, he went to Gotham City to visit, he went to Metropolis to do things, but most of his time was spent in New York City. And for the tenure of Ron Mars, for the tenure of Kyle Rayner in the book from 94 to 2004, it was New York City was the primary location, even when John Stewart was the Green Lantern of Earth, and actually had, primary focus for a few like 5-issue runs. It still happened in New York City. And I like that. And Kyle Rayner is possibly my favorite Green Lantern. I love Hal Jordan. He is an idiot. He is a fantastic character because he is a complete meathead, and that's wonderful. But Kyle Rayner is my favorite Green Lantern because he is actually trying to be the best person he can be. And he takes his mistakes in stride, which, I mean, the entire point of the entire, like, I don't know, as a small aside, I just finished catching up on the Injustice comic series, and I replayed the game yesterday, and it's kind of boring, to be honest. It's kind of boring. The comics are better than the book. The comics are better than the game, by far. But even the comics are missing something, and it's the same, it's the same as the Parallax, the green, the Hal Jordan becoming Parallax thing. You can't, like, it doesn't speak to a character to, like, okay. Maybe I have more faith in people than I should, but it just doesn't speak to a character in my mind to say have someone take it doesn't speak well for a character in my mind to have them undergo one bad day and have something horrible happen to them, and then have them completely lose all of their marbles forever, to the point where they believe they're doing the right thing. The retcon to Hal's incident it almost feels ham-fisted, but I get it, because Parallax, the evil emotion bug, got inside his head and poisoned his mind and was kind of directing his actions for a while. But with Clark Kent in Injustice, it just doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. I guess the problem I have with it is at the very end of the game, because at the very end of the game, after they capture him, spoilers for a 4-year-old game now, I think, probably 4 years. At the end, after they capture, evil dictator Superman, the High Counselor, and put him in a Red Sun prison, the good Superman that helps, because of course it requires good Superman, and nobody can take him down without that. But good Superman says to the alternate universe Batman, he says, I don't know what I would have done in that situation. I might have done the same thing. And it's like, no, you people have sold us on Superman's character for how many years? There's no way that he would go from grieving and lashing out in an emotional state to then having that emotional state solidify into saying, no, these criminals deserve to die. It is not a part of the Clark Kent that is being sold to us. The reason I believe it with Hal Jordan is because Hal Jordan at that point in the comics, Hal Jordan had spent 4 years being an unrepentant douchebag. That's not even a joke. It's not an exaggeration. It's not. He was a misogynistic dickbag for 10 years or more. And part of that was the culture of the industry at the time, and it still kind of is. But like, this is a culture where Carol Ferris was written as deciding she needs to look more like a strong woman, so she exchanged her jeans for a skirt that went down to her mid-thigh, down to her mid-calves. This is, like, I'm not the best feminist in the world. I'm not. I can't be. But last I checked, clothes did not make you more powerful. And granted, I understand that clothes can make someone feel powerful. It's not. I'm not presuming to speak on that right now. I'm just saying that it's the same thing as the argument of well, they wanted to dress that way, like Power Girl. Power Girl's costume is a big one. Power Girl's costume with the gigantic boob window. Okay, maybe in universe, she did decide to dress that way. Like, she decided that was the costume she needed to have. But outside the universe, outside that universe, in our real world, she was written to dress that way by somebody. She was designed to dress that way by an artist and a writer. And they chose that for her. And I don't understand why people seem to think that that's just not important. Like, oh, she was written to want these things. Yes, but why? For who was this written? I digress. I guess what I'm saying is Hal Jordan's a dick. Kyle Rayner actually attempts to be a good person. And that's why he's my favorite Green Lantern, and why the current state of the Corps is pissing me off, because I have some ideas on what's going on, because, alright, so, full disclosure, it's January 6th, it's Wednesday, it's the first Wednesday of 2016, which means it was comic book day today. I haven't had a chance to look at anything that was released this week. And this is going to be coming out on the 11th, so, maybe by then maybe by then I'll have had a chance to look at it, but probably not before I upload it. If I do have a chance to look at it, I'll probably edit some stuff into the description. But Green Lantern fragmented at the end of June or April. Whenever Convergence came out, I don't know. Was it April and May? I think it was April and May was when Convergence came out. It was either April and May or May and June. I don't remember. It's not important. What is important is that at the end of the New 52 publication line with the 40th month of New 52, the Green Lantern line fragmented and imploded. The third volume of Green Lantern Corps got cancelled. Green Lantern New Guardians got cancelled. And the status quo in the Green Lantern universe changed for the first time in 10 years. Shocking, I know. Because that's the other thing, is Green Lantern didn't actually reboot when the New 52 happened. But that's not important. Hal Jordan is no longer Green Lantern, he is a rogue. only 3 so far shown Green Lanterns are still in the main Prime universe, because all of the rest of them were shunted to what turns out to be the previous universe where Relic came from. Including Krona. I don't know how the fuck Krona got there. And I have some ideas as to how the rest of them got there, because in the issues leading up to it, the Guardians were talking about stuff like, some fallout from the war with the New Gods, with Godhead. Some fallout from that, Hal Jordan brought Black Hand to the Source Wall, and he freed the Source Titans and all that shit, and a Source Titan died, and it turns out entire planets were being turned to stone, and the Guardians were talking about, like, well, given this, we gotta do something about it, and they said, I have some ideas, and 2 issues later, all of the Corps is gone. Now, like I said, only 3 Lanterns did not go, and that is because all 3 removed their rings. Those 3 being Hal Jordan, who quit the Corps, and stole Krona's power gauntlet, making him a renegade. Soranik Natu, whose ring was forcibly removed and replaced with a yellow ring by her father Sinestro, and Kyle Rayner. Now the thing is, I need to reread the end of New Guardians again, because last I checked, Kyle still had a white ring, not a green ring. And he mentioned splitting it up into several copies, but he still had the white ring at the end of the issue. So I don't know where the white ring went. But the green ring he had, apparently he took that off, and that's why he is doing whatever with the Omega Men. And they said they killed him, but they didn't kill him, and they said whatever was in his head was a bomb, and it wasn't a bomb. I don't fucking know what's going on with that series. I don't know. It reads like a combination Grant Morrison and Warren Ellis book, is what it does. And I'm disappointed in it, because they took... They had a major event happen, and they took away Kyle Rayner from the universe again. And it's not the first time they've done it. And, the primacy of Hal Jordan remains. And I'm not happy about that. And I know that the Lost Army got canceled after, I think, 7 issues, which is disappointing. And they're doing one, oh hell, I don't remember what it is, but they're trying to get back, and there's something saying that not everyone may make it back. I don't know. Personally, I don't. Like, I do and I don't care. Like, I like the Green Lantern universe, but there's a lot of B-list lanterns that I could give less of a fuck about. And I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed with where it's going, and I want to see them fix the line, because if you go back and you read people talking about Green Lantern Rebirth back in 2004 before it was released, if you go back and listen to it and read what people have said, like in the columns with Dan Didio and Jeff Johns and stuff like that, they talk about Green Lantern being poised to be the number 3 franchise in DC. And for a while I think it was. But they gave up after the movie, I think. Because 2011 was when the movie happened, is when Flashpoint happened, and the entire universe got reset. And it didn't. Green Lantern didn't. And I'm a little bit, 4 years later, they've basically dispersed the Green Lantern. Like, at the height of the series, there were 3 books for a while. And it always feels like they've never had the heart to commit, because every time they get going, the universe resets. Like, they had to reset the Green Lantern Corps line to fall in line with the new number 1 scheme. This happened right after War of the Green Lanterns. They killed Emerald Warriors. I don't know why. And replaced it with New Guardians, which was the first 12 issues were kind of iffy. The next 12 were goddamn fantastic. Or the next 8. Like, up to issue 12 was kind of like, I don't know. But the 0 issue running all the way up through issue 20, so that's 9 issues total? Fantastic. Those 9 issues are some of the best comic books I've seen of the last decade. Basically, everything with Kyle Rayner in it is fantastic. The closest he ever gets to a solo book, anyway. Like, his stuff in the 90s is gold. And it's like they cast him aside, and I don't know why. But anyway, maybe I should have made this 2 parts. I don't know. But next week we will be talking about the second favorite comic book I have, which you will see when you see it. Until next time, my name is Kruger Draven. If you like the video. Comment if you have anything to say, and subscribe if you want to see more like this. Please tell me. Please give me some feedback. I'd really like to know. It helps me out a lot. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.